Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you. So, this is Wednesday today. Let's see what we have in store for us. February 15th, the editorial explained of the Indian Express. The heading is The Daylight Knock. Now, see, from the heading, we actually cannot understand much. But then take this as a title question. We'll read the passage and then we'll see whether this title fits the passage or no, right? You can write this, the daylight knock. If you have the hard copy of the newspaper, fine, उसे underline कर लो. If not, and you're going through this recording only, so write it there on a notebook on the page. Less than a month ago, the Union Ministry of Information and Broadcasting invoked emergency powers under the 2021 IT rules to order online media platforms to take down links sharing the first part of the BBC documentary. This is what the Information and Broadcasting did. Now, this is the name of the documentary is India, the Modi Question. On February 14, the Income Tax Department conducted surveys at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. So this is what the Information and the Broadcasting Ministry did, and this is what the Income Tax Department is doing. Conducted surveys at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. The first step in what is widely seen as a process is punishment treatment. इसका मतलब BBC ने कुछ किया था, right? उसके against. Now, what is the country doing, or this department of the country doing? So officials have alleged that the BBC is non-compliant under transfer pricing rules and has diverted significant profits. The BBC has said that it is fully cooperating with authorities and hopes to have this situation resolved soon. Of course, the BBC has to answer to the law and has to address whatever questions the tax authorities have. But the parallel commentary by one of the ruling party's national spokesperson trashing the news organization as corrupt and rubbish and accusing it of supporting anti-national forces raises more than one question mark on the due process. Now see, if you are simply reading the sentences तो समझ में आ जाते हैं, लेकिन उसका context समझते हैं. Context क्या है कि this is what the Information and Broadcasting Ministry did, what it asked BBC to do, right? It asked the BBC to remove the first part of this documentary final. उसने ये कहा. इसका मतलब इस documentary में कुछ होगा, तभी उसे remove करने के लिए कहा, according to the ministry. Second or third line is saying, now what is the income tax department doing? This part of the paragraph is giving you the reason of why it is doing. ठीक है, तो उसका explanation author ने दिया कि क्या कर रहे हैं वो. They have alleged that BBC is non-compliant under transfer pricing rules and has diverted significant profits. ठीक है, ये उनका accusation था. BBC ने क्या कहा, that it is fully cooperating with authorities and hopes to resolve. It's okay, fine. Now comes the author's point of view. What is he saying? That there is a parallel commentary going on. तो ऑथर अब हमारा ध्यान उस तरफ लेके आ रहे हैं कि एक पैरल कमेंट्री चल रही है जो कि रूलिंग पार्टी के नेशनल स्पोक्स पर्सन की है, और वो क्या कर रहे हैं कि ये करप्ट है, रबिश है, दिस न्यूज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज करप्ट एंड रबिश. दिस इज व्हाट द पॉलिटिकल पार्टी और स्पोक्स पर्सन इज सेइंग. Now, this action, there was one more thing, this punishment treatment. That means, according to the author, this seems to be a punishment treatment for the BBC because it had included that part in the documentary. Now, this explanation that BBC is, or rather this accusation that the BBC is supporting anti-national forces, it raises more than one question mark on due process. This is from the point of view of the author. The action against the British media organization with a global presence has come on the heels of the controversial documentary on the PM, which the government has said sows divisions among various communities and makes unsubstantiated allegations. अब एक्चुअली उसमें था क्या, उस बीबीसी की डॉक्यूमेंट्री में था क्या? एंड द ऑथर इज लिंकिंग दीज टू टुगेदर कि उन्होंने बीबीसी ने जो डॉक्यूमेंट्री किया और उस डॉक्यूमेंट्री में उन्होंने कुछ लिखा एंड this has come, this is a controversial documentary, you can say. Then what is India doing now? It is coming up with the income tax, the action taken by the income tax department on the BBC News organization. And what does it say? That see, this is the reason why we are taking the action. According to the author, these two are interlinked. Why? Because in this documentary is this thing, a controversial documentary. It comes up with divisions among various communities. मतलब ये चीज दिखाई जा रही है जो कि पॉसिबल है प्रोवोक करे कंट्री के लोगों को. दैट इज वाई. Now, given the recent record of the government vis-a-vis sections of the media and civil society, the latest action against the BBC, the survey taken together with the political attack, smacks of bullying and an attempt to intimidate. Now, what is all this leading to? Or what does it demonstrate? What does it show? What does it indicate? Okay, it indicates that this counter action by the ITR or the smacks means smells of bullying and an attempt to intimidate means to cause fear. ठीक है, तो बुलिंग का एक मतलब बुलिंग दिखता है और डराना धमकाना दिखता है. दिस इज व्हाट द ऑथर सेज कि काउंटर अटैक जो हुआ है, काउंटर एक्शन जो हुआ है, व्हाट डज दिस indicate? Why am I asking you or repeatedly saying this is you when you understand this part of the paragraph or rather the whole complete paragraph, you will be able to understand how the author is writing. He's coming up what was there in the documentary, what they said about the documentary, then what the IT department is doing, and then why it is doing, that was given, and then what is the author's interpretation of this whole problem or the issue, and why was that part of the documentary why was the media told to remove or take down that part of the documentary? What was there? वो उसने इस आखिरी लाइन में दिया है. ठीक है, तो now if you know where what thing is, you will be able to, if there are questions on it, you will be able to come to the correct part of the paragraph for the answer. Now, regrettably, this is part of a disquieting pattern. So now, if he is saying regrettably, that the disquieting would mean something that is upsetting. ठीक है, एक ऐसा पैटर्न चलते जा रहा है कि जिससे मतलब जो अच्छा नहीं है. क्योंकि लास्ट सितंबर द टैक्स अथॉरिटीज कंडक्टेड सिमिलर सर्वेज अगेंस्ट ऑक्सफैम इंडिया, think tank center for policy research, which incidentally works with many state governments and the Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation. Now, the latter funds the multiple digital media entities across political persuasions, some of which have been critical of the government. During those surveys, too, some phones and devices were seized, staff questioned, inquiries hang fire, and the cloud of uncertainty is allowed to hover. होवर का मतलब होता है जैसे एक वो होता है, हेलीकॉप्टर होता है, इट होवर्स ओवर द बिल्डिंग. ठीक है, so in this way this uncertainty is allowed to hover. It doesn't come to a proper end. So surely income tax personnel being sent to a news organization in the middle of the day is meant to send a message to that organization, and arguably it is a message to others too. That means it is giving you a reason of why this action took place in the daytime. It would be simplistic and inaccurate to dismiss this as the knee-jerk response of an insecure government. ठीक है, आज हम समझेंगे कि नी जर्क रिस्पॉन्स होता क्या है. अगर हम सिंपल सी इसको, दिस इज एन ईडियम, सो हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड इट वुड बी लाइक taking it literally and then applying it contextually. So a knee jerk response would mean something that is very sudden. ठीक है, नी जर्क मतलब जब घुटना एकदम से सिर्फ टेढ़ा हो जाता है. ठीक है, झटका लगता है जब हमारी नी को, तो दैट बिकम्स अ नी जर्क. Okay, we'll apply it contextually now. To knee jerk response would be something that is happening spontaneously or suddenly. So this is what the author is saying, that it would be simplistic and inaccurate. That means it will be artless. अगर हम इसे समझेंगे कि this is just a knee jerk response, but ऐसा नहीं है. और इनसिक्योर गवर्नमेंट, पर गवर्नमेंट इनसिक्योर नहीं है. This is a government not exactly insecure and it rarely jerks its knee. Herein lies the rub. It rarely jerks its knee मतलब कोई भी इतना spontaneous reaction उसका इतना sudden reaction नहीं होता है. तो जो भी होता है with much deliberation, बहुत सोच समझ के तब करती है कुछ ये गवर्नमेंट. ठीक है, तो अब ऐसा रिस्पॉन्स क्यों? Herein lies the rub. मतलब there is something that is troubling. Asking about such action, the BJP has a stock answer. Why worry about a survey or a search if you have nothing to fear? That question is loaded at a time when the IPC is being weaponized at the drop of a police complaint or an FIR, be it the case of a stand up comic or a professor's cartoon. The BJP knows that sending tax officers and inspectors to newsrooms and think tanks is borrowing a leaf from a discredited playbook once used by a regime they had so stridently opposed. Surely they also know that it has its limitations. इसका मतलब बीजेपी को पता है कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं. And it is almost doing the same like a very autocratic thing. It is doing the same that had been discredited earlier. This such a reaction was done by somebody and it was discredited, but they are coming up with the same part, and surely there are limitations to this. मतलब ऐसा रिएक्शन बार बार और बहुत बार नहीं हो सकेगा. This is what the author says, right? So this is talking about, or rather it is giving you reasoning of the action taken by the government. Clear? Let's see the main ideas now. I've taken the paragraph again and see now. If we write that the surveys are being conducted which are actually seem to be the punishment treatment. Why? Because a spokesperson talks about this organization as corrupt and rubbish, and that it is supporting anti-national forces raises more than one question mark on due process. That means जो ये punishment treatment or the action taken by the government, if it seems to be a punishment treatment, but it actually indicates a question here. Why is the government taking such an action? The latest action against the BBC, the survey taken together with the political attacks, it smacks of bullying and an attempt to intimidate. ये रहा author का point कि जो गवर्नमेंट एक एक्शन ले रही है किसके अगेंस्ट में, बीबीसी के ने जो किया था डॉक्यूमेंट्री में जो इंक्लूड किया था उसके अगेंस्ट गवर्नमेंट ने इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को उनके पीछे किया. And this action smells of bullying and an attempt to intimidate. मतलब उन्हें डराने धमकाने की कोशिश लग रही है. Next पैरा में it is meant to send a message. So what is it? Let's see. Nothing will be tolerated. ये मैसेज अगर जाएगा इसका मतलब अभी हमने देखा था इंटिमिडेट करना मतलब डराना धमकाना. ठीक है, तो एक मैसेज इट इज ट्राइंग टू पुट फॉरवर्ड अ मैसेज ऑल्सो. एंड then the author says that see this action taken by the government against the BBC organization is not something that is a knee-jerk response. It is not something that is not well thought of. That means deliberated है, सोचा समझा हुआ स्टेप लिया हुआ है. Comes here. Knows that sending tax officers and inspectors to newsrooms is borrowing a leaf from a discredited playbook once used by a regime they had so stridently opposed. मतलब ये वही कदम उठा रहे हैं, वही स्टेप है जो कि किसी ने पहले ले रखा था and it was discredited one, right? So that means it is not a very good step that it has taken. And a parting shot by the author that surely the BJP knows or the government knows that this style has limitations. Fine. I hope you have understood. It is coming to the main point now. So IT survey of BBC's offices and the BJP's running commentary on what is anti-India, smack of bullying and match a sorry trend. ठीक है, सॉरी ट्रेंड मतलब ये पहले भी हो रहा था अभी भी हुआ है, उसके जैसा ही हुआ है. तो पहले लोगों को नहीं पसंद आया था या इन लोगों ने अपोज किया था, Now, if they are coming up with the same thing, but then they know that they cannot continue with this more often. They can't do it frequently. Here, we have a few words here. I think so. You have done three or four at least. You have done in the previous editorials. फिर भी हम करते हैं इन्वोक. हमने या तो क्लास में किया है या तो एडिटोरियल में किया है. इन्वोक यानी टू कॉल अपॉन. कई बार इन्वोक एक स्पिरिट्स के साथ यूज होता है कि जहां पे वो पूरा एक तामझाम करके और देन दे कॉल अपॉन द स्पिरिट्स, राइट. कौन सी मूवी में था, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर. एक अजय देवगन की मूवी थी, and then they just where the girl's name was Khushi and all, I think so, कि जहाँ उनको वो दिखती थी, भूत थी. So they make that space in that, in the, they decorate it in that manner and then invoke the spirits. So it is used now. The invoke is to call upon. ये उसका basic meaning है. ठीक है. अब invoke का और meaning हो सकता है appeal करना, implore, appeal, beseech and adjure. Right. So if we know the meaning of invoke is to call upon, if you know the meaning to call upon, तो फिर वो word मत लिखो. फिर write better words, beseech, implore and adjure. So I'm giving you in both the difficulty levels. One is the easy one and the second is a better word for it. Right? So if you know these words, well and good, write the better words in implore, adjure, उसके साथ लिख लो. Compliant में हमारे पास word comply है और comply का मतलब होता है agree. ठीक है, तो मान लेना, तो इसका मतलब होता है ओबीडियंट. अब ओबीडियंट है तो यील्डिंग आ सकता है, क्योंकि दिस आई हैड गिवन इन द क्विज आल्सो. ठीक है, तो यील्डिंग और वील्डिंग में आ गया था हमारे पास. आई थिंक सो वील्डिंग वी डिड यस्टरडे और यील्डिंग देखो आज आ गया. तो यील्डिंग इज टू गिव इन एंड वील्डिंग इज टू एक्सरसाइज और यूज. ठीक है, वील्डिंग का मतलब यूज होता है, यील्डिंग का मतलब गिव इन होता है. सबमिसिव आप समझ सकते हो कि सबमिसिव यानी किसी और की बात आसानी से मान लेना, सबमिट कर देना. तो यू डोंट हैव अ स्टैंड ऑफ योर ओन, यू डोंट गिव योर ओन और वॉइस योर ओन ओपिनियंस. ठीक है, अक्विजेंट इज अ बेटर वर्ड. सो इफ यू नो दीज टू सिंपल वर्ड्स यू कैन राइट डाउन द वर्ड अक्विजेंट. ठीक है, अक्वीज को क्वाइट से रिलेट कर दो कि चुपचाप किसी और की बात मान लेता है. सो यू हैव दिस वर्ड क्वाइट. So you won't be able to forget it. You can at least relate this word acquiescent with quiet. Another word is trashing. ठीक है, ट्रैश में मतलब ऐसा है, डस्टबिन में डाल देना, तो दैट इज अ ट्रैश. सो इफ यू आर trashing somebody, that means you are condemning, censure. Rubbishing, देखो ट्रैश और रबिश एक साथ आ गया है. तो रबिश का मतलब होता है कचरा, लेकिन रबिशिंग करना मतलब किसी की बात या किसी के काम को बिल्कुल भी बेकार साबित कर देना. तो क्रिटिसाइज करना, सेंज्योर करना. या तो आप उसके काम को करोगे या आप उस पर्सन को ही कर दोगे. Right? So what are you doing? You are trashing somebody. You're rubbishing someone's opinion. In that way it is used. So if you know this word criticizing and condemning, fine. Trashing के साथ अगर relate नहीं कर पा रहे हो, तो you write down all these four words. Right? Then on the heels, we have done this, and because it's an idiomatic expression, you can understand it literally, as I said in the beginning of this session. That on the heels का मतलब होता है बिल्कुल heels पर. तो बिल्कुल heels पर लगा हुआ होगा, अगर कोई इतना पास होगा, तो उसका मतलब क्या हुआ? He is following you very closely, no? So he is close behind or he is immediately following you. Unsubstantiated, we have done many times. Unsubstantiated arguments होता है. Yeah, we have done substantiated arguments. That means what? Author will come up with his point, his argument, his case, and then he is going to support it with the reasoning or the logic. So he is substantiating his arguments. तो unsubstantiated का मतलब होता है unsupported, unconfirmed, uncorroborated. ठीक है, rover is strength. So when it is corroborate, means you are strengthening your argument. It is uncorroborated, means your argument is unsubstantiated. तो आप उसको strengthen नहीं करते हो. तो आपने अपनी पॉइंट रखी, लेकिन उस पॉइंट को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए आपके पास कोई लॉजिक नहीं है. तो हम बोलेंगे कि आपका आर्ग्यूमेंट अनसपोर्टेड है या अनसब्सटैंशिएटेड है. Allegations, your You need to use this word in your career many times. Allegation is accusation or blames or charges. Charges भी कर सकते हैं, accusations भी होता है, condemnations भी होता है. ठीक है, एलिगेशन है ना किसी को कंडेम करना, किसी के ऊपर चार्ज लगा देना. डिस्क्वाइटिंग, डिस्क्वाइटिंग यानी जो क्वाइटनेस है, ठीक है, उसमें अफरा तफरी मचा देना, तो डिस्क्वाइट हो गया. ये हो गया डिस्टर्बिंग. So something is settled and the news was unsettling, right? So something that is causing a problem, something that is causing chaos, something that is causing disorder, right? So it unsettles you, it disturbs you, it causes worry, and hence distressing will be a better word for it. So disquieting effect, right? Disquieting effect हो सकता है, तो it was a distressing effect on the person. और he was disturbed. सिंपल वर्ड्स में आप अपसेट लिख सकते हो, तो ये अनसेटलिंग वर्ड जस्टिफाई हो जाता है यहाँ पर. स्टूडेंटली इज फोर्सफुली एंड वोसिफरसली, मतलब बहुत ज्यादा किसी के खिलाफ बोला उन्होंने. जो सेंटेंस में था दैट व्हाट द एक्शन दैट दे हैव टेकन नाउ, the way they are behaving now is something that they had raised their voice previous when the previous regime did the same thing, right? So stridently is forcefully, noisily, or vociferously also you can say. So if you want to write this word, you can write it. Otherwise, forcefully के साथ तो आप relate कर सकते हो. ठीक है? Come on. I hope you have understood these words. Now, the extra shot for the day, that is a single idiom that we got today was a knee-jerk response. I have helped you understand what is a knee-jerk. जब घुटने पे एकदम से झटका लगता है, उसे knee-jerk कहेंगे. But when we are applying it in an idiomatic manner, so it is a knee-jerk response. That means an instinctive reaction, something that is done without thinking. And because it is done without thinking, it becomes predictable. हमें पता है कि अगर हमारा opponent ने कुछ काम किया, बिना सोचे समझे हम reaction करेंगे. So the opponent can actually predict what we are going to do. So it is predictable, and of course, because it is like without much deliberation, without much thinking on it, so it becomes a reflex action. So this is the meaning of the word knee-jerk response. So that's all for today. I hope you have been reading the other articles also. So have a nice day. Thank you and see you tomorrow.